pleasure of interviewing my friend, Jen Smiles, super talented choreographer and dancer, has worked all over the Atlanta area, and we're going to talk to her today. Start out by just telling everyone who you are and sort of what you do.
I was mostly raised in Huntsville, Alabama, for those who know where that is, and I went to the University of Alabama, majored in theater, minored in dance, moved to Atlanta for a little while, then moved to New York for a few years, and then moved back here. So I've been back since 2004, really long time. And I mostly teach at a couple local studios, modern, tap, jazz, some ballet. I don't do hip hop. Nobody needs to see that. What else do I do? I choreograph for company, my local companies that are in the studios, and then also choreograph for some local theaters like Atlanta Lyric Theater and Synchronicity. I've performed with Atlanta Lyric Theater. I've performed with the Alliance and Stage Door Players. I'm trying to think who else. Aurora Theater, performed with them. I might be forgetting somebody, but yeah. So just kind of local performer, choreographer, whenever it can fit into the busy mom life and fits in the teaching life as well. That's kind of what it is in a nutshell.
If you could sort of share with us your journey, everyone's is different, but your journey from stepping into the performance world, and then also sort of what your transition into choreographer role looked like for you.
It kind of happened by accident, to be honest with you. I mean, I choreographed some smaller things, maybe even starting, in high school with show choir, getting your feet a little bit wet, and then little bits and pieces here and there. But it wasn't until I moved back to Atlanta and started performing more that I became dance captain in this show, and then assistant choreographer for this show. And it just kind of was baby steps. And then finally kind of got the vote of confidence to fully choreograph a professional show, not some community theater shows or like the half step between community theater and professional theater shows that already happened. But the first big trusting step was actually from Atlanta Lyric Theater with Brant Blocker, letting Elizabeth Wexler and I co-choreograph White Christmas. So that was our first kind of, here's your big project, make it work. So I guess we did all right because we've been asked back for other things as well. But that was, I would say that was the biggest step, was just dance captain, assistant choreographer, and just kind of working my way up slowly that way, and being trustworthy and being prepared, doing what I needed to do.
Do you feel like in your career, getting to know people in one venue is how you've led to other opportunities in other theaters?
Definitely. I think, especially here in a regional market where everyone seems to know each other somehow, even if it's just 1 or 2 degrees of separation, I think word of mouth starts to happen where someone goes, hey, she did a good job on this. I can't do this show, but so-and-so might. Like, I always joke that Ricardo has handed me so many jobs that he couldn't do over the years, and said, well, call her. So I think, by building trust with someone like him, and him thinking of me when something like that happens, that's great. I mean, that's just an example, but I think, you're right. Your network of people, and at some point you'll cross someone's mind and they'll go, oh yeah, that person might be available. And if I'm not, I do the same for somebody that I trust and know, and say, hey, call this person, or think about this person as the assistant, So I think it keeps rolling down the line. But definitely those connections are key. And I'm not the type that's kind of the schmoozy over networking type to begin with. So I think I just kind of naturally let them happen, but I know some people are a little more go-getter about it and can probably make those connections faster. I tend to just kind of do my thing and hope that, that people are satisfied with what I've done or trust me. But I guess I'm not the type that's constantly messaging people and going here and there.
I am always a big fan of your choreography, both in the professional market and working with studios, because the
choreographing for studios, I think it's a really great way to just create something completely random, and it's in its own box, whereas a show, you have to tell the story, the numbers are what they are, and that's also great. But I love setting pieces, especially on my advanced dancers, because I feel like I can just go, okay, I have this really wild idea. Let's see if we can make it happen. And man, they always come through and go with my wild ideas and make it happen.
Share some of your thoughts on tap, and for the tappers that do come to our events, that do tune into these things, what things you might have for them?
Well, I feel like, I don't know, that's a good question about the dying art form. I do see it and I feel like it's still alive, but I think you're right. I think if you didn't step into it by a certain age, it's not something that people desire to pick up later. I don't know why, because to me, that's one of the few dance forms where you don't need beautiful turnout, great feet, the certain kind of body that makes it look nicer. I mean, you can be pretty much any shape, size, proportions, and if you have a good sense of rhythm, you can finely tune those muscles, especially from the waist down. I think most people could pick up tap and not worry about, oh, are my legs nice and long and straight, and are my feet perfect? No, it doesn't matter. So yeah, that's a good question. I wish I knew the answer about why people think it's a dying art form. I think it's amazing. I actually grew up learning Broadway style. So I've had to learn some more rhythm style as I've gotten older and just kind of pushed myself into it. But I am by no means a rhythm tapper. I wish I could say I was, and I'm so in awe of the hoofing rhythm tappers. But I'm kind of Broadway with a serving of rhythm that I've learned. But I grew up 100% Broadway style. So I try to incorporate some of what I've learned as I've gotten older and try to mishmash a bit. But yeah, when push comes to shove, I'm Broadway at heart and in awe of rhythm.
Okay, so next part is just for kicks. This is like rapid fire. I'm gonna give you a question, like you tell us your preference just for fun. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Okay, sugar?
A little bit of sugar.
Jumps or turns?
Ooh, jumps.
Petite allegro or grande allegro?
Grande allegro.
Parallel or turned out turns?
Ooh, parallel.
Platter tutu or romantic tutu?
For me, romantic. For somebody with beautiful long legs, platter.
Across the floor or center?
Ooh, across the floor.
Ballet or jazz?
Jazz.
You kind of already answered this one, but Broadway tap or hoofing?
Broadway. Ooh, what I feel like is kind of a hot topic sometimes is the whole contemporary versus modern thing. This and what defines that, and which camp are you in? I personally am old and old school, so I kind of lean towards modern, like give me the goddesses and gods that created it all. But I appreciate the new wave and creativity of contemporary.
Well, thank you for sharing your knowledge. Thank you for being encouraging for all of the dancers that are listening. If you have one tip before we go for dancers in quarantine during this, what would it be?
Look at this in a positive way, in the sense that you're building some serious endurance right now because it's you and only you going across the floor or doing every exercise. There's no taking turns. There's no group one, group two. So I think everybody's endurance is increasing. I think learning to dance on different surfaces is challenging, but it's also a good lesson in kind of going with the flow when you perform in spaces that are unfamiliar or flooring that might not be what you expect. So I think if everyone can take this and try to see the bright side of what are you gaining from the quarantine dancing rather than what am I losing by dancing at home, I think that's a better way to look at it. I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but I'm finding all these wonderful free things to do online. And I feel like, wow, today I get to observe or take this Rockettes class. And then tomorrow I did Pilates with my friend who's the ballet master at Joffrey. Like, just all these weird things you would never be doing normally. I think that's definitely a silver lining. And then, like I said, he's trying to find the bright side of, yeah, I'm alone, but boy, I'm so much stronger. My endurance is better because I'm dancing alone.
Enjoy the rest of your quarantine. And thank you all for tuning in to What's the QuaranTEA.
Thanks for having me. Everyone keep dancing.